Property taxes. If you own a home, you're generally paying property taxes. And let's be honest, they are not fun to pay. In this video, we're going to talk about the appeal process and how to fight them. So let's get it. Now, taxes have gone crazy over the last 4 to 5 years. Honestly, beyond all measures for the most part. Now, I know COVID had some of the stuff to do with that, driving the prices up, but let's be honest. Most of us that had houses before COVID are really getting hammered with property taxes. And it's really not, I don't know, I don't feel it's fair by any means. Now, I have been fighting my taxes for quite a number of years now, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that I have done in the past to help successfully appeal taxes, as well as some of the little things you can do that most people don't really know about. At least I didn't even know about it until I got involved in the process. Now, here we are sitting ready for the 2025 year assessment, and I have received my latest tax bill. Well, it's not a bill, it's a tax estimate, but we have an increase. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys straight up an increase in taxes from 419 to 604 and some change this year. That is what we're going up to. So we've had almost a 50% increase. I think it's 45% increase in property tax. Now, I'll tell you, part of the reason that that is somewhat crazily high value is that I had locked in 3 years ago. I had locked in at the 419. Actually, it started at 410 the first year, and then I went to 419 agreements for the next 2 years. Let's take this back to 2021. This is when I actually filed my very first appeal on property taxes. So back then, they had valued, actually found the paperwork. They had valued my house at that time for $418,000. And I thought it was absurd. I mean, just in 2020, I had finished this house at that point. I had 250,000 in the house, not including the land. Including the land, I was at 300 in on it. And they tried to hit me with $418,000 and almost $419,000. And I was like, there's no way, like that's crazy, absolute nuts. So I filed an appeal and didn't really quite understand. I just submitted the appeal paperwork, and then I had put some listings of houses in there that to me was comparable. And I believe I actually came in at like 323 or 320 something thousand is what I was agreeing to. And they wouldn't come to that, and they ended up calling me and saying, "Hey, we'll do 346, 657." I thought about it, I was like, "Well, I don't really wanna fight this much more than that. They're come down a good bit, I feel like that's an okay value." Didn't wanna have to go into the Board of Equalization, didn't even know what that was, like, exactly how that worked. So I accepted, that was over the phone. And what they didn't tell me at that point is you could lock in that requested price for 3 years, didn't know about that. So I paid that year, then the following year came about. And now fast forward a year and I get hit with the next bill of $479,928 is what they tried to hit me for. Now this happened to be a year that I also ended up getting had to get technically a home evaluation because I was getting um a home equity line of credit to be able to buy a piece of property for quick closing. It was gonna be quicker me doing that and just getting a home equity line of credit instead of getting property, having to go through all the hoop deal on it. So this year, when they hit me with a 479,928, appealed again and went through and said, there's no way my house went from 346 to 479 and some change in 1 year. Y'all are crazy, lost your minds. And I not only submitted again the actual comps that I had came up with and delivered, but I also had submitted the paperwork that I had gotten from that appraisal for that home equity line of credit. Now that home equity line of credit came in a valuation of 398,000 and some change. And I said, "How can this be? I get a home appraisal done for a home equity line of credit and it's 398. You're giving me a 479. I'm coming up with, let me see if I actually have on my paperwork here. I came up with some houses that basically at the time put my house at around $100 a square foot now, a little over $100 a square foot for the comps that I had in the area, not including the land. And we're at 2,826 square foot. So let's just say it put it close to right at, I guess just say 29 or 290,000 plus the land value, it would put us 370-ish, 75, somewhere in their range. So it was close to what the appraisal came back from the house for when I had the home equity line of credit. I submitted all that and they wouldn't budge on it. I'm like, well, we're going to continue on. So what they will do is a lot of times you'll submit the paperwork, you'll get your, stuff in, and then a lot of times they'll call you well, they did the first time, they called me and they called me the second time as well, saying, "Hey, we'll agree to this, this is what we'll do, yada yada yada, and you either agree or don't agree." And I didn't agree. I'm like, I don't agree to that. I'm still fighting this. So I took it on to the Board of Equalization. So basically, the Board of Equalization deal was where you went into a room with 3 guys that were there that were apparently the people from the Board of Equalization, and you present your case, and the county presents their case. And let's be honest, they sided with the county. And I'm like, that's bull crap. I'm like, I'm giving you not only an actual, an appraisal from an appraiser that appraised the house, I'm giving you the comps. And I went through the argument with them. They just disagreed. So I said, I'm fighting it again. We're going to continue this on. I'll go to Superior Court. Fine with me. So we submit the paperwork for Superior Court. Of course, you give them a $25 check. And then I left out of there. I said, we'll continue this on. I'm fine with that. So I then, probably a few months later, it was a very long process because it was, we started this thing and it was a couple months for this and a couple months for that. And by the time we got done with this thing, it was like March, April of 2023, somewhere in there, when we finally may have settled this thing. Basically, what happened is before I went to Superior Court, I got called back down there to meet with the head appraiser at that point, and went into his office with the other appraiser, and we sat down and talked. And I'm like, "This is my stuff." And then he wanted to bring the point up of, "Well, your house is not built like these subdivision houses." I'm like, "How do you know?" First off, I said, "Secondly, all our houses are built to code. So what's different about it? I mean, I don't have high-end finishes in this house. Yeah, I have LVP carpet and a little bit of tile, and I got builder grade granite countertops. I mean, what's please tell me how my house is built any better than a subdivision just because I'm on a little bit of land." And it was a very invalid argument. And basically it came down to, he said, "Well, I'll agree to 410,000 for this year, but next year I won't agree to that. I'll do it 419 for the next 2." And it was because what had happened that year is, as I mentioned about getting the home equity line of credit, I had bought the other pieces of property that I ended up doing some line changing and stuff so could go into conservation and my parents could go into conservation. We each had 12 and a half acres out here the way we divvied it up. And so the part of that being is that initially my house had 6.5 acres. By the time I redid the lines and redid the stuff, I was at 7.88 on this parcel that my house sits on. And I said, "You know what? Fine, I will agree to that at that point because I was tired of fighting it." Also, the 398 didn't include that extra acre and some change of land, so I felt like that was fair, and I agreed to that. So the last 3 years I had been locked in. It was 410, and then it was 419 for the following 2 years. Lo and behold, this year, here we are back with a 600 and some change evaluation. Now, let me let me give you my opinion on the 3-year lock. I felt like definitely when I locked in was a good time to lock in, but I don't feel like at the same time my house has increased that much. Not not from what I've seen, for what has happened. And the fact of the matter is that this year I'm fighting my taxes and I'm still contemplating this, but I'm really thinking about not doing a 3-year lock for the simple reason of the home market has been cooling off quite a bit. It's definitely not like it was. Let's be honest. Thank goodness. I'm glad it's cooled off, but it's definitely kind of went further south than it was. So at this point, I'm trying to determine and trying to make the debate of, do I lock at this point, but if taxes, which they never go down, let's be honest, but if they level off, it's really a wash. I guess I'm hoping that maybe something would change for going down on property values. I don't know if it is. I don't know. I haven't decided on doing the 3 lot. But let's get into what I do to fight these taxes. So once again, back looking at our number here. I'll actually give you my my deal here. Let's see. We are just to give you an idea. I mean, we'll pull up my property tax assessment stuff. I'm at 2,826 square foot house is what I am. Built in 2020 is when we finished it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I don't actually look at land. I don't look for a specific house with specific land sizes. Okay. Um, what I like to do is you're going to have to provide comparables. Let me put it that way. Let's start with there. You got to provide comparables to the county. They're wanting to see where you're coming up with your valuation. You just can't pull a number out of your hat and give it to them and just expect them to accept it if you don't have any type of backup data at all. So the first thing I do for us, we're in Spalding County. Q Public is really my go-to thing for this. I think most Georgia counties is on there, and you can see all property taxes on there, or not taxes, but you can see all the property cards, all the things that are related to the property as far as what the size of the house is roughly. You can get that. You can get the shape. You can kind of get an idea of what it's made of for this brick or hardy plank, whatever it may be. So you go there first, and what you want to do is go into sales search. So let's actually get that pulled up real quick. I'll show you. You actually go up here and just type in Q Public. Already got the search there, and this will pull up the qpublic.net. From here, we're going to click on that. We're going to go ahead and pick our county really quick. And from here, we're going to do a cell search once we actually get this pulled up. So what we want to do, you'll see here as well that we have search records and we have view map. We're going to click on search records. Now, we are going to try to find houses that have sold comparable to the ones that we are, our house or my house in this case. Now, just to show you real quick, let me pull up my property card so you can see exactly what we're dealing with here. All right, now here we have my card for my house. And what we're going to do is we'll scroll down here. You'll see that my house is 2,826 square feet. We're 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and number of plumbing extras. I don't know how they actually calculate that for sure, but it's 11. Now you'll see they have given the structure value a value of 524,063. And you can see down here, they show that the current value has gone to 604,063. So this is what I'm going to be comparing to. So now what I'm going to do is I can go through a sales search. So you go up to the top and click sales search. Now we're going to go back to back to September 1st of 2024. That's the date range that I always like to work with. So we click September 1st. We're going to end it December 31st. So we're going to scroll up here and pick our December 31st. That'll be our end date. Now, I don't put sales price in there. Now, I will put square footage. Now, we are 2826. I'm going to go down to 2200 and we'll go up to actually 3400 on the square footage. And year built, that's the other thing I'll put. It would be 2015 to 2024. We'll put that in there. And then we're just going to search. Now, from there, we get an entire list of properties here that has sold within that range. So this is throughout the entire county that we have. Now, what we're going to do is actually go and pull up a Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to start that next. All right, now we have our Excel spreadsheet pulled up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put parcel ID. Well, let me get this thing to work. Computer's acting a little slow. So we're going to put parcel ID here. Now we're going to tab over to the next one, and we're going to put the square footage is what we want to know. Square footage of the house. We're going to put sold price. We're going to put structure price. Now we'll put land price, but we're not actually worried about that just yet on that. but we will put it in there just so we have it for this. And then we're going to have the square foot price. All right, now what I want to do is pull out all of my um just give myself some room in these. The square footage one's not as much. Sold price I need a little bit more room. Structure price I need a little more room. Land and will square foot. All right, so that's our main thing. Now we can go ahead and set this up. So we're going here and we're going to put the equal sign and we're going to take the structure price here. We're going to do that divided by the square foot and hit enter. Now it says divisible by 0, gives you an error. You can't do that. Once we start putting things in here, you'll see what'll happen. What we're going to do is drag this down some. We're going to grab a few from the Q Public site and start inputting. Let me see. Birchwood Drive. Let's see what this one looks like. So this is one, for instance. Now, what we're going to do here is you're going to take the parcel ID. It's quite easy. We're going to copy and we're going to come over here and paste it right here. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the square footage. So in this case, this house is 2972. So we're going to put 2972 in the square foot price. Now it sold for, what did we say? 419.5. So now we're going to go back into our thing here. We're going to put 419.5. All right. Now the only other thing we've got to get is the structure price, really. So the way I get the structure price is literally what the county puts in here for, which is 401,268. So 401,268. All right. I forgot to tell you as well. Land price is going to equal the sold price minus the structure price. So there we have the land value. If you want to add another column, if you're curious about the actual lot size and stuff, you can add a column in there. Like in this case, this house was 1 acre. I'm not really worried about it for this part. So we're not going to get into that. Now I'm going to grab a couple more real quick. We'll go back. So for instance, right here, here's one on East McIntosh. We're going to pull it up. All right. Now we have a nice house to compare here. This is built similar to my structure. We're going to go back in here. We're going to put our parcel ID once again, go back and grab our square footage, which is 2726. 2726. Now we have a sold price of 425,940. So 425,940. And we have our value that the county has given this house is 397,940. So we're going here and put our 397,940 there. Now let's go ahead and drag this down a little bit. All right, we're going to drag this down some more. All right, so there we have, and this is where we talk about land size and cost. This is a whopping little over half an acre, and they're saying that half an acre is 28,000, where that 1 acre up there was 18. Now there are two different parts of the county, so that could be properly evaluated. But now I'm going to fill the rest of this out. I'm going to fill out some more, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you a little bit more to do. So here we have our comps that we're going to be using here. You see, I've got actually 6 of them picked. I don't think it really matters. You probably do as little as 3, but I at least do 3, bare minimum. But you can see here we have our square footage price for each of these houses. Our highest one being 145 and some change, and our lowest being 119 and some change, depending on which one of these you go with. Now, this is based off of just what the structure price is considered. Now, like I said, when we pulled that up, the structure price is actually given to us off of Spalding County. I'm using what they actually value at. The house, what it sold for, is in there as well, which is what our price is here. This just tells us our what our land value is over here. If you want to go to that, which we could use later on. So what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to take. Now, if you remember, my house is 2,826 square foot. That's what my house is. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put equals, and I'm going to do the average of all of these. We're going to get that average. All right. So that's $129 a square foot, some change. Generally round this stuff down, like, or round it up. I mean, it's too many. It's really, you don't need to get in that many decimal places. But to get a structure value for my house, so now we're going to take equals. We're going to do 2,826 multiplied by the 129. So using all of these comps, this ends up giving me a value of $366,629 to use for the house portion, the structure portion. But now we want to find the value of the land. So you can see I have 7.88 acres is what I have. So we're going to go back into our sales search at this point, and we're going to do the exact same dates that we had beforehand. So we're going to go back to 2024, and we're going to go back to, well, if I can get it to go back up there, 2024. We're going to go to September 1st through our December 31st right here. And this time we are going to do acres. I'm going to do as low as 3 acres and as high as we'll do 12 acres on it. That's all we're going to search for, except for we're going to go down here and put land only for the cell type. So now I'm going to search, and you can see what we have here is a few parcels that have sold. Now, one of these is commercial, so that's not going to be counted in this. So what we can do now is we can go back to our same Excel spreadsheet. Now, what we're going to do is we'll go down here. We'll kind of create a whole nother thing. We're going to do we'll do parcel ID on this as well. We're going to do lot size, and then we're going to do sold price, and then price per acre. All right, so since we have all these, what we want to do now is you want to find the ones closest to you to an extent. So this one here is really close to my house. So it's definitely going to be a comp. What we'll do is we'll go and click on this one. I know this one's going to be used. So we're going to grab the parcel ID for this one. We're going to come in here and put the parcel ID here. Now we're going to do the lot size, which this one's 11.82 acres. All right, and it sold for 145,000. Now, what we're going to do now to get price per acre, all we're going to do is hit equal sign, and we're going to do sold price divided by lot size, then hit enter. So that's how much per acre that sold for. Now we're going to go back. We're going to try to grab a couple more of these. Now this is 4.2 acres, so we're going to grab parcel ID. We're going to come back in here. We're going to put the parcel ID. Now this was 4.2 acres. Now it sold for 58,000. All right, so that's $13,809 per acre. We can technically go back and use ones that are from the houses. So Wallace Road is actually not terribly far from me. We have a house here. Now, this is similar to what we did earlier. This is a $270,000 sale with a house value of 173,489. So if you want to just put that in, now you can go back and do like we've done up here to get that. You can, throw it up here to get the land price, but you want to be careful because you don't want to mix your structure price up with your land price. You can add it down here if you want to do the math, which honestly, here's what I would do. I would copy and paste this real quick, and we'll go back into our book here. We're going to input this here. We're going to paste it here. So this was, I believe, 8.98 acres. Okay, and basically the house was 173 of that price of 270. So we're just going to say it's a $100,000 valuation. Just we're going to make it simple for rounding up. So $100,000 for the land is what they're saying. I guess it's 11,000 there. Let's go back and see if we find at least maybe one more just for our sake. Let's pick something that's close to the same lot size as well at this point. So Field Road is 7. Let me take a look at this one. Field Road. Actually, would probably be a good house. Honestly, this would be a good house for adding to my upper value. So let's actually do that. Let's add this house, and I'll show you how we can get how we get that land price as well and how we can use it. So this house we're going to grab here. We're going to put this right here. I mean, this house is, it's 7.52 acres. Now it's newer than mine a little bit. It's 2024 build. But everything it's actually got a half bath that I don't have. And you can see this house sold for 519.9. So 3426. We got the sell price there. Structure price, that's what we're missing. So structure price is 413,038. So 413,038. Boom. All right. So now I gotta actually add this down to F7. So here we're gonna see 120. That's another dollar a square foot. So we have our land price at 1,000, or excuse me, $106,000. So what we'll do is we'll copy and paste this real quick down here in our land side. We're gonna paste this. Now we're gonna go to the land size on this one was 7.52. So we'll put 7.52. We're gonna put that sold price of 106,862. Boom. All right. So get that out of the way. I don't know what I did there. So we can see we have our land values here. Now, what we're going to do, like we've done up here on the top side, we're going to come over here and we're going to put us an equal sign and we're going to do the average. And what we're going to do is this right here. So here is our average per acre, $12,855. Now, to go for our house that I have 7.88 acres. We are going to take that and we're going to do, basically, we're going to do equals, and we're going to be this times this. So that gives us a land value of $101,303. That's what it gives us a land value of. If I were to go through and give a complete value, you can just take and put equals, and we'll do this number plus this number here. As you can see, what we've come up with is 463.11, 463 $611 and 87 cents. You always round on this. You can round up or down. You're not really getting to the necessarily the nitty gritty a lot of times, but hopefully this will at least help you out going forward and just a way to be able to at least have something to back up when you actually go to the county and submit it. That's how I come up with my evaluation. Now I have submitted this and I did get a reply back that so like I said in the past, they would actually call you a lot of times and say, "Hey, I'll offer you this," or this is what we'll agree to. And they actually submitted me a new form back saying that there is going to be no appeals, or no, we're not changing the value. It's probably gonna be hard to see that. Basically saying there's, we've reviewed it. There's, we're not agreeing with your appeal to an extent. It's going to continue on, which is going to be going to the Board of Equalization at that point. So, what I'm going to do is, I got that on the mail. I'm going to call them tomorrow anyway for me, for my sakes, because I want to know is what makes my comps uncomparable to the house. I want to understand why my comps are not good enough for the evaluation that I've come up with, and how do you get to that? Because sometimes you can settle with these things before getting that far, but if we got to continue on, we're going to continue on. So I wanted to show you guys the method that I use for actually trying to determine somewhat close value, and at least you can understand where I get my numbers from and where I come up with the stuff I come up with. Enough rambling. I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned. We got much more. We'll see you on the next one.